The R50 is Canon's newest addition as well as their cheapest option now in the R camera lineup. And so in this video, I'm going to share my thoughts on this camera as well as some main features and specs that you should know. And then I'm also going to do some comparisons with the Canon M50, which is kind of what this camera replaces. So without further ado, if this video helps you out in any way, shape, or form, please consider dropping a like and subscribing. But let's get into some key features that you should know about the Canon R50. So the R50 pretty much fixes all of the issues with video that the Canon M50 had. So the R50 has no additional crop when you record 4K, which is amazing. That was very annoying with the M50, so I'm glad to see that fixed. And same goes with the autofocus in 4K. The R50 has the exact same dual pixel autofocus 2 in the 4K mode as it would in any other video mode. And then lastly, the M50 could only do 120 frames per second in 720p. It was a pretty low quality, not very sharp, really noisy option, but 120 frames per second is super useful. It's an awesome frame rate to record B-roll or really any sort of fast moving action like sports and cars. And so it's really good to see that the R50 can now do 120 frames per second in 1080p HD. It's still not the 4K 120 frames per second like the higher end Canon R5 can do or like the A7S III like I'm filming this on, but it's at least good to see that you can record some super slow motion and higher than 720p. Next up, this has Canon's dual pixel autofocus 2. So the original dual pixel autofocus that's been in Canon cameras for years now has pretty widely been known as one of the best autofocus systems, kind of tied with Sony's autofocus system. But now with their new image processors, they can have this even better, even faster dual pixel autofocus 2. And with my use so far, I've absolutely loved this. It tracks cars, it tracks animal eyes, as well as of course human eyes in photos and in videos. And since I've been using this camera, it has pretty much always just worked. I've only had maybe one or two little hiccups, but besides that, the autofocus system in this camera is honestly astonishing. Next up, the body on this camera is again, very similar to the Canon M50. I'll kind of bring this back out here and show you. It's an absolutely tiny, almost pocketable, and super light camera. Although that does mean the body definitely doesn't feel the highest quality. It feels really plasticky and kind of cheaply built, and also doesn't have any form of weather sealing. So, you know, when you pick this up, you can instantly tell this is a more budget-friendly camera. Really, any day of the week, I would pick a worse quality body with better specs over, you know, a really high-quality body with much worse specs. And actually, kind of going off that, the button placement and all the dials and everything on this camera is, again, almost identical to the Canon M50. It's very light in terms of the amount of customizable buttons and dials and, you know, stuff you have on this camera, but there hasn't ever really been a time that it's held me back, you know, that like I've needed these extra buttons or dials to get around easy. You know, everything just kind of works. Next up, for recording times and battery life and stuff like that, I ran some tests. And so this camera has a standard 1 hour record limit. So once you get to 1 hour of video recording continuously, it's gonna stop it and you're gonna have to start recording again. However, I was in about a 70-degree room recording in 4K 30 frames per second, which is the most intensive recording mode on this camera. But the R50 actually ended up overheating and shutting down after about 35 minutes of recording. So it barely got past a half hour before it overheated in a standard about 70-degree Fahrenheit room. And after overheated, I powered it down for a couple minutes and then powered it back up and started recording again, and it went for about 5 minutes, which was about how long I had it shut off for. And with that, in total, it recorded for about an hour and 14 minutes before the battery died. And that's with the brand new battery that just came with this camera. But on one battery, expect just over an hour of continuous recording time. Or for photography, it's rated for about 370 shots per charge. And so those are kind of the main key features. Now I just want to say, I think the R50 is one of the best cameras you can get at this price point. For $679 for the body or $799 with this kit lens, which is a pretty decent kit lens. It's nothing special, but it will get you by if you're just a beginner. The capabilities of this camera, you know, the really high quality sharp 4K that's oversampled from 6K, the photography features, the resolution, you know, the portability of this camera, it really does it all for that $679 price point. And I really think this is one of the best beginner cameras if you want to look for an upgrade from your smartphone, or a point and shoot camera. If you're looking for your first interchangeable lens camera, the Canon R50 pretty much does it all. Now, if you want to see more videos about the Canon R50, I have some links down in the description. I have a few videos out now, but I will also be making a bunch more videos about this. And I also have some affiliate links down in the description for this camera and some accessories that I use with it. And those are affiliate links. So if you do purchase one through those links, I'll get a small kickback at no extra cost to you. But that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.